Franklin D. Roosevelt once said, "Real estate cannot be lost or stolen, nor can it be carried away. Purchased with common sense, paid for in full, and managed with reasonable care, it's about the safest investment in the world." And real estate is what we do. This is the Realtors Radio Network. There's no sense in overcomplicating real estate. And if you're a first-time home buyer, an investor, or a real estate agent, you're about to get useful, practical, and smart advice on every facet of real estate. Welcome to the Realtors Radio Network. Now your hosts, Santos Garcia, Marco Suarez, and Dawn McCullough.
Welcome to Realtors Radio Network. Today we have our usual, misfits. Myself, Marco Suarez, Dawn McCullough, Santos Garcia, and a special guest, Mr. Anthony Tony Laurita. We go by Tony around here, so we're going to keep it Tony.
There's a lot of Anthony's. Tony is the separator.
We're like max capacity.
There are
over
definitely
quota on the Anthony's.
That's interesting. There must be probably 8 or 9 of us, right? Because my middle initial is A for Anthony. So
okay, I didn't know that. It's North Jersey.
It's
everybody's Anthony.
Might be a Catholic thing. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
or an Italian thing. Or
Italian.
It could be.
Yeah,
it could be.
There's
anyway, welcome.
Yes.
We're happy to have you here.
Well, happy to be here. Thank you.
So we always like to ask people what they did before real estate, just to get in the prequel in, so in case we make a movie out of it.
So before real estate, kind of interesting. Back in 2005, graduated from Seton Hall, looking for something to do. At the time, my father had a branch of Century 21 Real Estate, and he also had a mortgage company. At the time, anybody could sell a mortgage. So he said, why don't you start to do this while you look for a job? Okay, great. Did that for about 4 or 5 months. And then the mortgage market started to collapse. And I wanted to get out of there as quickly as possible. I said, this is not for me. I can't do this.
Something steady, please.
Yeah. So I wound up, funny enough, getting a job as a buyer for linens and things, kitchen gadgets, so wine openers, spatulas, things like that. As it turns out, not quite as steady as you would think, because Linens and Things went bankrupt about 5 months after I started.
Wow. Their corporate headquarters was actually
in
here.
Clifton. Yeah, that's where I worked.
Yeah.
I worked right in the corporate headquarters.
Was that before Scoops U or after Scoops U?
That was after Scoops U. That's a whole separate story. We had a whole podcast separately for Scoops U.
Okay.
But, you think you go into the world of, corporate America, that things would be steady. No, that was out. Started to feel like a little bit of a dark, like I was a dark cloud. Every industry I was entering was collapsing. So I took some time, and after much searching, I actually wound up back in the mortgage business for a company called Franklin First Financial, and actually with Jeff Bailey. And we've been together ever since. That was 15 years ago.
Wow.
So I got my originator's license again. Got back into that business, and then fast forward many years later, United Real Estate came to be. As you know, my father, Anthony Laurita, broker of record. And he said, you should consider getting your real estate license. And I said, I am definitely not going to get my real estate license. I have my hands full with this mortgage business. I don't need another thing to do. And he's like, look, you should consider it. It's a different model than you probably heard about. No, not interested. Well, then I started showing the money that people were making.
Sure.
They were making really good money. And I said, wow, well, that's pretty good.
It's more than in mortgages.
Yeah, it's more than in mortgages for sure. So let's, I'll think about it. Well, I got an email for a Groupon of all things.
Wow.
And to get your real estate license at the Greater Bergen Board. And
I didn't know they have that.
Yeah. So for $199.
Wow.
You get your full salesperson's license. I went between right after New Year's, which is typically a slow time in the business anyway.
Right.
Took 2 weeks, got my license, and that was about 9 years ago.
Mm.
So
Wow.
been here ever since.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's been a good ride. It's
Yeah.
been
No, that was the right move.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the right move for sure. The business was not what I thought it was going to be.
Mm.
And he said, "You pick up your phone, so you'll make money." And I said, "Well, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard."
Right.
But it's not. You
Well,
know,
that
so-
will actually, it's so funny. I tell people maybe on the trade side of it, electricians, plumbers, I'm like, if you just answer your phone, you will make so much money
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Right.
because you can't get a hold of anybody.
Right. That includes realtors. It's
Exactly.
insane to me how many people I call, and it's like maybe on the fourth or fifth call I can actually reach them, and it's not rockets. And pick up your phone.
That's it. Yeah, everybody's
are
afraid of the scam call or
Right.
whatever. But I mean, I think we could all filter through those.
Right.
It could be a scam call, but it could be a lead.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it could be
Sure.
somebody looking for a house. You don't pick up on the first ring. It's
Right.
lights out.
Pick up your phone and make money.
Yeah.
Right.
And make money.
So that was the advice he gave me. He said, if you pick up your phone, you make money. Okay.
So
And
that-
that was 9 years ago.
That was the advice as a new agent. So, what would you have liked to have known before you got into real estate? Like, I wish I knew this before I got into real estate. Like, what part of it?
I wish I didn't stress so much about things that wound up not mattering. So,
Oh,
you
man,
know,
that's life.
yeah.
If you can figure that out.
If I figure it out, I'll let you
Very
know.
stoic.
But I was so hung up on the idea that I didn't know the difference between a split level and a bi-level, or what's a cape, or what's, this and that, the type of house. And I was convinced that that's what everybody was going to care about. And I'm
Uh-huh.
like, I just don't have that knowledge. Now, looking back, that's crazy.
Right.
Of course, to know that is nothing. But I was so concerned about the details of, well, I'm not going to know everything about every little house that I show,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to start doing it until I know.
Yeah.
That was something I wish I didn't do. But as far as what I wish I would know, don't be afraid of no.
Right.
It's okay if somebody tells you no. I was always afraid to hear no,
Mm.
but it's okay. You know,
Yeah.
some are going to say yes, some are going to say no, and that's just part of it.
And it's a natural thing to fear rejection, right? Everybody goes through it.
Yeah.
Not just in real estate, but in life
Sure.
in general. Nobody likes to hear no. But if you have the attitude of a 5-year-old where they can't even hear that word, everything's just going to go, don't do this, no, and they just they don't hear it. If that was us as a realtor, in real estate, if you just forget about those and just keep going, you'll be successful.
Yes.
If you just that fear of rejection is tough to get over, but if you can manage to do so, you're going to do okay in this business.
Yeah.
And I don't like the fake it until you make it. But if you're doing sales in general, you have to just go for it and learn as you go.
Yeah. There's going to be trial and error and everything, right? Even learning to walk as a baby, you okay, that didn't work. And then you start looking, oh, somebody's doing that, and they're holding the middle of their body this way. They're not leaning over it, and you pick it up right as you go. If you're just around other things, other people, another business, another whatever it is, even language, right? You go to another country. Trust me, if you're there 6 months and no one else is speaking your language, you're going to adapt. You're going to learn that language. You're going to learn something, and that's a big a big thing. So if you can just get over the fear of rejection,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about language, look at me now.
Yes.
Like talking English in a podcast.
Yeah.
7
Yeah.
years ago, I was not able to have a conversation, like not even say hi. Or
yeah, and what it took you 11 months, a year, almost?
11 months just to get to a basic level. And then after that, I just designed my environment. So everybody around me was just talking to me in English. And then after a while, it was just, oh, now I speak a second language.
and you dropped 155 pounds in that same 11 months.
155 and in the same 11 months, yes.
I wouldn't have known either of those
See?
things.
Yeah, this
Your
man
English-
was
See,
different.
you learned 2 new things today.
Your English is perfect, and
Thank
you
you.
look like you're in great shape.
Yeah. Thank
you.
It all worked out.
Well, the man can outrun everybody, right? You're looking at David Goggins, Dominican style.
Dominican.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, it's so that is it's a fear that everybody has, a fear of no, right? But the going back to your previous statement was that you didn't want to until you knew the technicalities of these. One of my my earliest mentors said to me, 85% of people of agents, they don't want to do anything until they know
Right,
the technical stuff. But the truth is that, or they not 85%. They feel like they have to be 85% technical
Yes.
stuff competent, right?
Mm-hmm.
But really, it's the 15% of the things that we know. Do we care about them? Are we interested in our client? That's the stuff that really gets repeat business. That's the stuff that gets the business to begin with. Is are you interested? Do you care about your client? It's not the technical. Or how good are you at searching on the MLS? Or, that's not it. That's not where you get.
I
the
stressed
business.
about that too.
Yeah.
Setting up like the drip searches and the
Right.
Garden
Ooh.
State MLS. Like,
Right.
well, what if I don't click the community living? What if I forget?
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter.
Doesn't even matter. Yeah.
You learn though.
You do learn.
You learn.
So well, I know you guys have questions. I don't want to keep interrupt. If you guys have a question, feel free, because I'm gonna just I have like a million things I want to ask him. So things like, do you have a favorite county that you prefer to work in?
I prefer to work in Passaic County. I grew up in Wayne, so I'm very familiar with that town. But all over Passaic County, and now I live in Morris County, so I do a fair amount of work in Morris County now as well. So
Okay.
those two, I'll certainly work anywhere that somebody wants to work.
Yeah.
I'm not one to turn away business. It's a different business than it was even a few years ago with the advent of the internet and with the advent of client access to information. It used to be you walk down the street by your local agency and you look at the listings in the window and you knock on the door and
Right.
Mr. and Mrs. Realtor come out and, oh, sure, let's go take a look. Well, that's not a thing anymore.
Right.
Everybody has very good information.
Yes.
Sometimes even more than their agent.
Yeah.
Which it shouldn't be, but sometimes they do. And I'm open to serving anywhere that I feel I have a strong grasp on. As simple as that. I've done deals as far as LBI, and as far north as Mawa in the state. So as long as I feel comfortable and have the information that my client needs, I'll work anywhere. But I do prefer Passaic and Morris County. That's easier on the mileage too.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you're in your wheelhouse of
Yeah.
places so.
Yeah, I could rattle them off.
Right.
In those two. So.
Cool. How about since you work in a couple of different counties, have you had any crazy stories? And anything that's happened, you're like, that really stands out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, where to start? But where to start is really my first deal. My first listing, I should say, not necessarily my first deal. I had a buy deal before that, but my first listing. This was in Garfield, and it was a divorce situation, not exactly a friendly divorce situation. And we're going through the deal. We finally get our offer. Things are going well. The wife was still living in the home. The husband had moved out already, and she was very cooperative throughout the entire transaction. Very come with the appraiser, come with the inspector, no problem. Pleased as anything. So we had a closing date set, and I had called her a couple days before. Are you all moved out? Is everything all set? Yeah, everything is out. I just need to get a couple of boxes out of here, but other than that, everything is out. Furniture's gone. Okay, great. Now, being my first deal, I didn't really think to go to the property. I just assumed, well, she told me it was out. It must be out.
Right.
Well, morning of the walkthrough comes. I get there, walkthrough, I think it was at 10 a.m. I got there at 9:30 just to, do a once over myself. If there was a paint can or something, I'd move it around. Well, front door was open. I walked in. There was not one item removed from the house and about waist deep garbage in every room.
Wow.
And she was on the kitchen floor crying that she didn't want to leave. And picture me, it's my first listing.
Your
I'm
first
like, I hope this isn't everyone. So I thought about it, and I wound up calling a clean out company, and I said, we're going to get a credit for a clean out for the buyers. We gave them a credit. They came in with literally shovels and big garbage cans to clean the house out, whatever personal property. They made a deal with her. They said, it's going to be down at our warehouse. You come take whatever you want. Funny enough, the owner of the clean out company used to date that woman.
Oh, wow.
So they knew each other. They just by happenstance.
Wow.
So he said, I don't want to see you like this. Come down to the warehouse. All of your belongings will be here. They had that place cleaned out in like an hour and a half.
Wow.
The buyers understood, and we closed on that day. That was my first deal.
That's a
I,
crazy-
Wow.
I no longer leave the walkthroughs to verbal.
Right.
To make sure that things are really empty. So
Right.
that was my introduction to listings,
Huh.
and that was amongst the most interesting stories I wound up having. There's plenty more, but
We have
Ooh.
time.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Tell me one more. One more.
okay. So I showed a vacant property in Lincoln Park,
Hmm.
and big house, and I was with a first-time buyer. We're walking through, but something just seemed like off in the house. You ever? I'm sure you guys have
Oh,
experienced
yeah.
this.
Sure.
You just walk through a house
like a
and,
weird
and it's like a
vibe
weird
or-
vibe, and you
Mhm.
cannot wait to get out of there. You just feel like something is wrong. Well, we're walking through, vacant house until we get to the bedroom, where there is a couple,
Enjoying themselves?
enjoying themselves in this vacant house.
Oh my goodness.
Didn't break stride. They did not really
Wow.
notice or care that we were there.
Wow.
We closed the door very lightly. We walked out, and that was the end of that story. We
Man.
didn't buy the house. They were not interested.
Right.
But that was another
Oh
weird
my
one.
Wow.
goodness.
Yeah.
It's
They were
funny.
not. They were not to be interrupted.
That is.
They didn't have like
insane.
the do not disturb sign.
No, no, they were disturbed.
Oh.
So was I.
Right. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that is. It's funny. I've spoken with other people that we plan to have on the show, and it seems to be a common theme. People just running
It's a
into
very
this.
frequent story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a similar experience.
Yeah. So at least twice. The one time we didn't actually get to see, but we heard, that kind of a thing. I'm like, because I had a couple with their kids, and the second I opened the door and I heard, I'm like, this is not like we can't go. And I kept ringing the doorbell and opening the door. Nope, there's no, and they didn't care. Like, just
Maybe it was a TV.
no.
That's what you tell yourself.
But yeah, that's seems to be a reoccurring theme in real estate. Do you have any hobbies? Just trying to change the subject.
Yeah. Weird segue, but okay. I have hobbies. Obviously, with my family. Love being with my family. I have a 2-year-old and I have a 4-month-old. So spend as much time with them as I can. As far as personal hobby goes, I still play ice hockey once a week.
Wow, cool.
Been doing that
Cool.
for longer than I care to admit at this point, probably close to 30 years.
Wow.
And golf, as you know.
Yes.
I love golfing. Before the children, I experienced that a lot more. After the children, I still like to try to get out. If I could get out once a week for 9 holes, that's great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I would like to do that more.
I haven't been, but I've been trying to get into virtual golf. Just to get the swings in.
I did that this weekend.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Where?
There's a place in Morristown called 1776. It's
Oh.
a Top Golf simulator.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's attached to a restaurant, and the restaurant provides the food for that, that simulator, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. There's one close to here too.
Yeah. There's one in Fairfield
Yes.
and another one in Paramus, which is the one that I noticed is pretty close to me.
Yeah.
So
So how does that work? I haven't done that yet, but like,
it's a tracker. It keeps track of you're basically swinging at a screen, and you can see the the ball flight, the speed of your the spin of your ball, everything. It tells you everything.
So there's a sensor that's either behind or
Or above
you, and it can read where your club impacts the ball, and can tell the club speed and the spin rate of the ball, which will in turn tell you the trajectory of the shot. So it really is quite accurate.
okay.
So you could go play Augusta or Pebble Beach or whatever you want to play. You could pick whatever course you want. They have them all loaded in, and it's fun. It's certainly not regular golf.
No.
It's not like
No.
getting out there, but it's
because you'll never get the feel of the grass.
No.
You never get the feel of the wind. The conditions that and the true feel of the lay of the land, right? When you're walking up to the green,
Right.
you're noticing different things. You won't get that.
Well, I like it because they putt for you.
Right.
You know, so
The gimmies.
yeah, they don't know how I putt normally.
I was gonna ask
Yeah.
you that. How's the?
Yeah.
So it's usually a 2 putt. I'll take that every day of the
Right,
week. Every
right.
once in a while, it's a 3, but that's okay. You know.
So wait,
It's okay.
what do you set it at? Like 3, 6, or 9 feet, 10 feet? Like, what do you set it at?
You said there's a setting for auto putt.
Oh.
So it doesn't matter how far away you are; it'll guess based on the green.
Oh,
Now
okay.
there is a setting where if you want to do like gimmies within 3 feet,
Yeah.
you can, but then you actually have to putt into the screen, and that's
Right.
it's hard.
So
Yeah.
I play to 6 feet.
You
Like
do?
yeah, because I'm going to try it, and it makes it a little bit more fair in case you're playing with amateurs or you're
Yeah.
playing with people way better. It'll give you a chance to.
Well, maybe I'll try that next time. Maybe I'll try that next time.
So I didn't know that you played ice hockey. Did you play roller hockey?
I did.
Okay, so you know how I found out? Do you remember the story?
Oh,
So I was doing an open house in Morris County, and one of your clients came in. And this house had a huge, huge basement. And he goes in the basement and he's like, I can play roller hockey down here. He's like, Tony and I used to play roller hockey. And I'm like, I had no idea. I literally had no idea about that.
yeah. I used to.
He didn't buy the house, but
you didn't?
somebody else bought it and they're probably playing roller hockey down there.
Well, they have the space. You should have marketed it that way.
Right.
As an indoor
Yeah.
roller
Well,
hockey rink.
I would have maybe thought about soccer, but I'm not. I don't know anything about roller hockey, to be honest with you.
Yeah, my rollerblades have been hung up for many years at this point. Just
Not mine.
no.
I dusted mine off. My niece. I have a niece that challenges me on everything, and she's like, "Let's go." She wanted to go roller skating, but I brought my roller blades. I have hockey skates
You do.
and
Like inline.
inline skates, and they're legit though hockey skates, roller hockey skates. And I went just a few months ago, and I had like the time of my life. And she's like, "I hate this. Can we leave?" I'm like, "No."
So she's
Nope.
looking to beat you at something. Is that what it is?
All this tells me is I need to dust off my rollerblades, and we have
We
to race.
Yeah,
Right.
we
Oh,
could.
yeah.
We could. Let's go.
I'll find them. I'll
Oh,
find
man.
them. I haven't worn them in like 15 years, but
You heard it here
I'm
first,
ready.
folks. There's a challenge being thrown down here.
We'll post the updates on
Right.
Instagram.
That's funny. What has been, let's say, your longest transaction? I'll ask you about your most challenging one later, but
it's probably one and the same.
yeah,
Yeah. It was a short sale.
This is a common. This is a
theme.
very common
Yeah.
theme
Yeah.
when we ask
in-
about.
Yeah, I
length
could
of
imagine
transactions.
in Bergen County, very affluent neighborhood, and it was about 3 years, and it wound
Wow.
up not closing.
wow.
It
Oh,
wound
wow.
up not closing. They couldn't make a deal on the secondary liens, and I don't even like talking about it. It makes me upset.
Aw.
But yeah, it was 3 years, different buyers, septic issues, mold issues,
Wow.
you name it. And as things sat, more problems arose, as you
Yes.
know. Turn the utilities on, turn the utilities off. Somebody broke
Winterize,
into the
de-winterize,
house,
yeah.
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
Winterize, de-winterize, and baseboards freezing and breaking in the house. Just about anything you could go wrong in a transaction,
Did
it went wrong.
It did.
And then ultimately didn't sell, went to auction. I went to go remove my lockbox off the back deck, and the new buyer was there. He said, "Hey, I just bought the house. Who are you?"
oh boy.
I'm like, I don't want to talk
Yeah.
about it.
No more salt in the wound.
I don't want to talk about
Oh,
it.
Well, I think when we
goodness.
talk about, or when we, when people share their stories about the longer transactions, they're almost always
Short
short
sales.
sales,
Yeah.
which
Uh-huh.
are not short
Yes.
in length.
They should
They-
change the name.
They are
Should-
not.
They should change the name. Yeah.
Long sales.
Yeah.
Log sales.
I've had a short sale go in relatively short time too. I think I had one that was like 60 days done.
Yeah. You've had those. I mean, you've
Yeah.
done
Yep. So
400,
actually, there was
600 probably.
an agent that we work with who was doing a transaction or had a listing, and they didn't know that they had a second lien. And this kind of comes into play when people were doing loan modifications and things like that, where they're getting a HUD second lien or a partial claim lien. And so they were selling it as a regular sale, and it came up at the last minute. So he asked me to help him with a short sale, and it went actually very smoothly and very quickly. But a lot of it has to do with the lien holders and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
The lien holders on that other property weren't too cooperative.
They weren't nice.
No.
Mm.
It's okay.
it's all
okay.
right. It's
Yeah.
all good.
It happens.
It does happen. It's never short sales are such a weird animal because it could be the investor on the other end. It could be the owner, the current owner or occupant. Sometimes it's not even you're dealing with someone who isn't the owner in the property, who doesn't give you access, doesn't is had the one time someone who was a tenant didn't want to leave, and then when they decided to leave, like a year in, walk into the property and it looks perfect inside. I'm like, what? This person didn't want. I was expecting it to be destroyed, right? And then I go in, switch, like, oh, this guy must have flipped all the breakers in the house so that you couldn't use the lights. So go downstairs, look at the breakers, they're all on. I'm like, what is going on here? Go back upstairs, and oddly enough, learned from a family member of yours that if you just grab the flashlight and you shine it on the wall in a certain way, you'll be able to see imperfections. And sure enough, it was the very first thing that I suspected. So I did that, and you could see the patches. This person had cut all the lines for the things, so you
Wow.
couldn't turn on any other stuff.
Oh, wow.
So then I start looking at the rest of the house, and I realized that's why they were spending all that time of avoiding letting people in, because they were doing all these devious stuff and hiding it, so that whoever buys this house would end up having to redo all the electrical in the whole house. I mean, in the whole house. I went to every wall, and they were all, whether it was an outlet or a switch, that you'd see the patchwork. And I'm like, oh man, this person was really didn't want you to
They went through the trouble of even patching the wall back.
patch
Wow.
the wall. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. You know how devious
That's
that is?
just rude.
Yeah.
That's all that is. That's rude.
It's terrible. Terrible.
Wow.
It's a lot of work.
It was
Just-
a lot of work.
How were the patches? Were they okay? Good work?
A lot of them were good enough so that it was you had to use the flashlight to be able
Wow.
to see. That's how non obvious it was. And it was because a lot of the time if it's bad work, you can just with your naked eye you could just look, no shadows needed, no anything. But these, you needed that flashlight to kind of see the little bit of an imperfection. It was like,
Wow.
then you start catching the patterns right across the rest of the house, and you realize, man, this person really must have been upset about leaving this place.
Yeah, apparently so.
Well, with all the fun that we're talking about in real estate transactions, what advice would you give to somebody who's, getting into the business or thinking about getting into the business?
It's not what you think. I know there's a lot of shows out there, television shows that present this as a very glamorous
So you don't
business.
just show 3 multi-million-dollar listings
Oh,
and then
that's-
sell them too, because
That's
they can't
after
decide.
that's after like 3 years in the business. You can do that. Yeah. So it's not as glamorous as you think, and if you want to be successful, you're going to have to work.
Yes.
You're going to have to work. You have to prospect. You have to make connections. You have to network. You have to do all the things in any sales business that you would need to do, and it's not like you think on television.
So
if
you don't just get your license and all these people just call you.
strangely enough, no, unless I just missed out on that. Yeah.
I guess we all did.
Yeah, I guess we all
Yeah,
did.
I missed
Maybe
that day at
maybe that's a
kindergarten.
California thing. I don't know. But that's really the same advice I would give to anybody in any business. You have to work hard, treat it as a real business. A lot of people tell me, I want to get into real estate because of the flexibility, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
I want to be able to make my own schedule. You don't. Your schedule is based on others' schedule.
On your client's schedule.
Of course,
Your
you're
client-
always accommodating.
So
You have clients that work at night or work, different schedules.
if you
and-
like going down the shore on Memorial Day weekend, or Labor Day, or if you like doing things like that in the summer, you could forget that.
Right.
Yes.
That's all in the
Yeah.
past.
Well, when others have off, right?
Yeah.
Like we get a lot of calls when everyone has off, right? Even on holidays. And like I'll get calls from people and they're like, "Well, I'm off, on Christmas Day. Can we go see houses?"
Yeah.
I've had it.
Yeah.
I'm sure
It
you
happens
have.
all
Yeah.
the time, all the time. And I think they forget. So I would say it's funny that, people look at it as the flexibility.
Yeah.
And we probably take much less time off than people that have their 2 weeks paid vacation or whatever kind of thing that they have. Because when you're filling your pipeline up enough and you have clients to serve, you will take a lot less time off.
Sure. And, a lot of people don't realize that you spend a lot of hours after hours, with, contracts, paperwork,
Oh, yeah.
things like that. It's all part of it, so you got to treat it like a real business. And other advice that I would give to a new agent is to get yourself, trained or coached up by somebody or an organization that knows what they're doing. So
Right.
you have a structure of what your business should be. Like the Buffini course
Sure.
is a good example of that for a new agent, 100 Days to Greatness, where you can treat it like a business instead of a hobby. And you don't want to hope that somebody's selling a house.
Right.
You
You,
know,
you want to have that coach or a mentor to guide you through
Exactly.
the steps, because otherwise you will be flying blind. It's not an easy job to try and think that you're going to figure out on your own.
Yeah.
It's it's a rewarding career, sure,
Very rewarding. Yeah.
Yeah.
but there's work involved. You have to get the overalls out and
You have to wear many hats, too.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. You're a negotiator.
Psychologist.
Sometimes you're a
Well,
therapist.
the
Yeah,
therapist,
therapist.
I think, is the biggest part
Yeah.
of the business, and I don't mean it in any negative way, but just more so, there's so much emotion involved, right? We deal with everything from divorces to deaths to
Relocation.
right. Some
Everything.
people are downsizing and they're empty nesters and they're really sad about leaving their home, and just so many things in between. That I think the therapy part of it is probably the biggest part of it.
Yeah. It's very
Sometimes
big.
hostage negotiator.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. I was in a transaction once in Teaneck. Things just pop in my head. Anytime I drive by that road in Teaneck, I just get transported, because the guy I walked in, and the guy's like, "Yeah, my wife asked you to come here. I don't know for what." And I see that she's home. I'm outside. I'm gonna walk in. Now, cause I'm like, you're talking to me, but I'm literally across the street. I'm parked. I'm gonna go in. I go in, and he's still in the car. I go in. The lady's like crying in there, and I'm like, "What? Do you want to sell your house?" "Yes, I want to sell my house." The guy walks in with a machete,
Oh,
and I'm now between him and his wife, and not realizing that it's like, when I took the phone call, it didn't seem like anything was wrong. But when I got there and everything's awkward about the thing, and then I walk in, and like within seconds he's behind me, and he has a machete in his hand, and I'm like, I'm between him and the thing he wants to hit, like with this thing, like
Oh boy.
this is a problem, So that
is a problem.
you become a negotiator at that point.
That's
of
a
the wrong
6%
kind.
listing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
believe it or not, I took that at 7% that
Well,
listing.
yeah.
Wait,
hazard
hold
pay.
on a
It was-
second. Let's not talk about.
yeah.
Oh,
Let's
right.
not talk about percentage.
Listen, it's a separate situation. It has nothing to do with any issues. And it turned out to be a lot better, because I had the right mindset to deal and diffuse the situation. I did end up calling the police anyway, because it's a
God
hostile,
forbid something
hostile-
really.
yeah.
It
It was a hostile environment, but it all worked out. Sold the house,
Wow.
and everything worked out. And they actually walked away friends at the end.
Wow.
And nothing happened to you, right? Like,
Nothing happened to me.
He's still alive to
But it
tell
was
about
it was a 9-month. It had a baby. It's like it was a 9-month transaction. It wasn't easy, but sometimes you have to deal with adverse situations in this this profession, and that's why we get paid what we get paid, because it's unusual, the things that we go through.
It reminds me of the story that you were telling about when you went to the walkthrough. You have to be quick thinking and just come up with a plan, or how can I either help this person in this situation or get myself out of this situation. Or it happens a lot. I had a story. I had a similar story. I listed a house. It was a messy divorce, and I had actually never met the husband, and so I was only really dealing with the wife. I was talking with the husband. He signed things electronically and whatnot. So I go to do the open house, and I see this man. He's coming to the open house, and I don't know who he is. I just think he's visiting the open house. And she happens to still be inside the house. So I'm crossing the street. I'm getting to the open house, and he's like kind of hurrying up, and he cuts in front of me. And I'm thinking, like, that's so odd. You know, this guy's like that anxious to see the house. And all of a sudden, you know, he's in the house, and I start hearing noises and doors slamming, and it happens to be the husband. And I guess he wanted to go there when he knew she was going to be there. And we had to call the police, and there was a hole in the basement door, and people are outside waiting to see the house, and they're screaming, and it was just like really terrible. So, but you have to think quickly, right? Like to know what to do. I'm like calling 911, and I'm trying to tell people like don't go in the house, and don't know if I should go in the house or what I should do. You know,
you're telling everybody in line this house is so good. People are fighting over it.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't think to say that.
You'll go live on Instagram. Hey, this house is so good.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's funny. I've had a situation where I've had to try and chase cats back into. You know, people don't tell you that they're pets, and imagine trying to catch someone else's cat. You know, it was a situation.
Yeah, sometimes they're a little light on the instructions.
Yeah,
you know, and
a lot of
sometimes
times
you got to catch a cat.
Yeah, sometimes you have to catch
Always
a cat.
bring your running shoes, right?
Right.
That's
Easy
what
for you to say. You're on marathon.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what that comedian said when he got attacked on stage. He goes, the security people, I realized they need to wear sneakers and not dress shoes.
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
that Dave
Dave
Chappelle?
Chappelle.
He's like, I just realized that. You never think about those things.
No.
Yeah. The we always like to ask our guests little rapid fire questions. Just one way or the other. Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks?
Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, me too.
You're a Dung King?
I don't know if I'm a Dung King, but Starbucks.
Do you have the tracksuit?
I could get one.
Well, now they're like
They're sold
quadruple the
out.
price. No, they're sold out, but they're on eBay, of course.
Oh,
We're
of
like,
course.
You know.
I wouldn't consider myself a Dung King. I'm more of a coffee at home kind of guy. But if I'm out on the road, Dunkin'. Starbucks tastes a little burnt for me. That's just me.
All right.
We have a coffee expert here.
Yeah, there you go. Lunch in the car or restaurant?
Restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah. I ate lunch in the car on the way here, but normally if I have
Realtors
time,
have just perfected eating in the car.
Yeah.
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 What's your go-to lunch food?
I like to keep it a little bit light at lunch. Usually a wrap. A wrap would be ideal lunch food. You know.
Yeah, that is a good, one-handed.
Yeah, that's a good food to eat in the car. A wrap. You keep it nice and contained. You can't have a steak or anything like that. But lunch food wrap for me.
I have a showing special, right?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Favorite vacation spot?
Hilton Head. Hilton Head. I'd like the weather's good enough where you can go to the beach. Golf, obviously.
Yeah.
Hilton Head. I'm not much of a lay on the beach kind of guy. I like a little bit of activity in my vacation.
Yeah.
What's the best time of year to go there?
It's never a bad time to go to Hilton Head.
Okay.
But my wife would want me to say that Disney is my favorite vacation.
Aw.
And she will.
Well,
she'll
you have
be
a lot of
listening.
years of that.
I've already had a lot of years of that, and I'll have many more. So
Many more.
going in December.
Nice.
Oh, it's so nice there in December. It's all decorated and
I know. This wouldn't be my first time in December, Dawn.
The favorite spot in New Jersey? Favorite town in New Jersey?
Oh, that's a good question. Favorite town in New Jersey? Would I say the town I live in? Would I say Kinnelon is my favorite town in New Jersey because I live there? But destination-wise, I don't know. I never really thought about that. What's your favorite town in New Jersey?
Rumson, for some reason, it's so quiet. It's the amount of land you get per home is great. I've always enjoyed that town. It's not you wouldn't find it as a destination like on a touristy thing. It's just a very nice town. It's like, to me, it's like Ridgewood amplified.
Oh yeah, I've been there. Beautiful town.
Yeah.
Beautiful town.
Yeah,
That's a good choice. Dawn?
I say Ridgewood. I love Ridgewood.
Good sushi.
Yeah. What's not to love?
Ridgewood, Montclair. Like, I just love towns like that.
What about you?
I like Hoboken. Like to do street photography. Good
Oh,
place to
okay.
take photos.
That is a good place to take photos.
Cool.
A bit of diversity here in the answer. Yeah, all right.
How about
Favorite real estate app? Or what, like, is there an
Yeah.
app that you use a lot?
wow, you
In
just plucked that
business?
out of my head. I was going to ask you.
Favorite real estate. I use. It's not a traditional real estate app, but I use Google Keep constantly, which is a note-taking app.
Okay.
Yes.
And I use that religious. Even when I go to a listing appointment, I take
I've
my
never
notes
heard
on
of it.
there. It's very basic in functionality. It won't blow you away,
Mhm.
but it's just synced across everything. I could access it from anywhere. That's probably the app I use most consistently with real estate.
Google Keep.
Google Keep.
It kind of
That's the
sounds
first
like I'm a
time-
big Remarkable person.
Mm.
Remarkable is like a paper tablet, and then it's all
I've seen you
connected
with
to
it,
your.
yeah.
I love it.
It's like Apple
similar,
Notes. But
similar.
And it goes across, different.
Yeah, so if I'm anywhere, even if I don't have my device, I could access it just by logging into Google. So
Awesome.
that's probably my favorite. Or the super app, because that means I'm showing a house
Ooh.
and I'm
Well,
gonna
that's
I'm
nice.
gonna make some money.
That
right?
is a fun app to
Yeah,
have.
yeah.
that is a fun app.
Yeah. How about what would you be doing if you weren't a realtor, if you weren't a loan officer, if you nothing real estate related, just pick something else. What would you be doing if you weren't doing this?
Somebody asked me that the other day, and I really put some thought behind it. So, is this money is no object? Like I could just
Your
do
favorite
whatever
thing,
I
yes. Anything else?
want? I think I'd like to be the general manager of a sports team.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that I would enjoy that. It's
Any sports team or is
well,
it
I would pick
specific-
the Devils, which
Okay,
is
yeah.
probably not a popular.
Did you
answer.
go to the game the other night?
I didn't. When you have two kids, you don't do anything.
But this
anymore.
was once
Yeah.
in a lifetime, right?
Yes and no. They played in Yankee Stadium a couple of years ago.
Mm.
I think the success that they had will dictate more games in the coming years. It was a big success.
So
for
there'll
them.
be other opportunities.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think maybe my kids will be old enough to want to go at that point.
Cool.
Instead
Dawn
of
has a favorite, like something else she would be doing if she weren't a realtor. You want to tell them what?
Do we have a name for it? Is it like?
Well, I just
because
to be
they
fair,
have
I
a,
saw this.
I know
on
they
Netflix
do have
the other
it.
day.
So that's with Obama, right? So
I think he had like one
I
segment. but-
would be like I guess it would sort of be a journalist, but really, I am so intrigued in knowing sort of the behind the scenes of other industries, like restaurants, hotel managers, sports,
Oh, interesting.
like.
So you interview
it's
them
all
to
the
figure out
stuff,
how their businesses
it's all
work?
the stuff that people don't know, on the outside, right? It's all the behind the scenes.
So you'd want to.
I'd probably make
Interview
a show
people?
about it. I would want to stay in their business for maybe a week. I think I could only probably do a week at a clip, seeing how a hospital runs behind the scenes, like all this kind of stuff. I'm so interested in it. So if I hit the lottery, I'm out of here. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to make a show about Obama does it. He has a whole thing about it. But I just think that's so cool. I'm so interested in it.
That is interesting.
Could be anything from running a zoo to, like I said, hospitals, restaurants, whatever, everything in between.
I'd be curious to see what, like to do a Anthony Bourdain style thing where you just go to other countries to eat, experience
Yeah.
that culture, and that'd be a pretty cool thing.
See, I don't think about those things as work. I think of that as like a hobby, but I
Yeah.
guess that's kind of the best of both worlds, right?
Right? Getting
Yeah.
paid to do
Getting
something you love,
Mm-hmm.
enjoy, imagine. That'd be awesome.
I reserve the right to change my answer.
Well, I've been I've been on some shows where I've seen or people getting ready to host a show or whatnot, and I've seen some of the behind the scenes, and I'm like, wow, I never think of some of the things that they do just to prepare.
Yeah, that could definitely be interesting. I like that.
Yeah, where was it? I visited somewhere. Was it River Palm? Like one of these restaurants that they take like 20-something days to prepare your steak before you even get there.
Oh wow.
Like it was
That's
crazy.
the dry aged steak.
Yeah, I think it was River Palm. They used to be over here in Paramus, off of Route 4, the 208 section. They would take like literally 20-something days to like each steak was something was being done to it, and then whatever day you were there, they had started that process way before and seasoning it and preparing it. It was crazy.
And you eat it in less than 20 minutes.
Yeah. Imagine. Ugh.
We got to get you more involved in this, Don, so you know about these things.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Very
maybe other people won't care, but it's very interesting to me.
I think it is.
Yeah, I think people
Even think of like Amazon, right? Like we're annoyed if they take an extra day to deliver something to us, but we don't know all the logistics behind them getting it from A to Z, literally, or whatever their logo shows. So I just find that interesting.
And now they're looking to do it like within the hour of you ordering, which is amazing.
We're getting spoiled.
Yeah.
You're paying for that, but Prime goes up every year.
Oh, yes.
So,
Yeah.
we expect these results.
Yeah, it's true.
That's fair.
It is fair, actually. We always like to, we're coming towards the end of the show, and we always like to make sure that the guests tell the audience where people can find you. On Instagram, you have
Website.
a handle,
Yeah.
a website.
Yeah, my website is LauritaRealEstateGroup.com.
Awesome.
Instagram, which I never post on. I'm so bad. I go to the Don
He's
McCullough
part.
school.
He's part of the
part of the
anti.
club. You
I'm
guys
gonna,
are related.
Yeah.
I'm gonna create like the anti-social platform.
If you want to see pictures from 2011, you can go to my Instagram, Tony Laurita.
Okay.
I know. We always tell everybody to have a social media presence. It's just
Facebook,
I have a Facebook. I couldn't tell you how to get there.
Tony Laurita.
I assume it's
Maybe
the same, right?
Yeah,
I
just
assume
your
it's the
name.
same. I think they're linked together.
Santos made a remark yesterday
He makes fun of her all the time.
because he's the youngest in the room. He's 20 years old, and so
No,
he
he's
thinks
not.
people that use
19.
he thinks people that use Facebook are
Close.
old.
30.
I don't know. I mean, he uses Facebook. I see you at the gym at 5 a.m. on your Facebook
Right.
story. So,
Yes, there you go.
so
Wow.
I guess not everybody.
That's
else
why
uses
we
Facebook.
invited you on.
Yes.
I like that.
We needed that. How about a phone number?
973-943-7633.
Cool. We'll put that up on the screen so
Yeah.
that everybody can find you.
And I have to pick up.
You have to pick up.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm a hypocrite.
Right?
Yeah,
You have
That's
to
right.
pick
Up.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I love
everybody
it.
should test that. They should call me.
Yeah, they should call you.
Yeah.
There you go. You're looking to buy, sell a home. Tony's your man.
Thank you.
So I always like to have Santos has the best get out of jail free.
Get out of jail free card. Well, before we lag off, right? Just thank you so much for being here.
Yes.
My pleasure.
been a
Thank you for
pleasure.
having me.
All right. This is Realtors Radio Network signing off.
Keep an ear out for the next episode of the Realtors Radio Network, where Santos Garcia, Marcos Suarez, and Dawn McCullough share their wealth of real estate knowledge. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, review, and share. Find us on social media at Realtors Radio Network. See you next time on the Realtors Radio Network.